We're all red, white, and blue on this program tonight. In our Washington, D.C. studios, Mike Ganamort is the political director of the Republican Leadership Council, served on a number of political campaigns and posted New Jersey and Washington. Sean Smith, Pennsylvania Communications Director for Senator Barack Obama, a veteran of several national campaigns. And Dr. James Hilty. If you read one of his books, you know what he's all about. History professor at Temple, an expert on the history of American politics and the presidency. Mike, I have to ask you this question. You're going to be we'll see you at the convention in a few days?
I'll be there.
Okay. The Republican Leadership Council, is that like the Democrat Leadership Council that's more of a moderate organization?
It is. The focus of the Republican Leadership Council is on low taxes, limited government, strong defense, and getting the government out of the lives of individuals.
But you're fairly inclusionary, aren't you? You're not one of these organizations that says if you're pro-life, pro-choice, or if you don't like stem cell research, we don't want any part of you?
Right. Well, I think that's the point. In other words, there are areas for disagreement within the party, particularly on social issues.
That started by Governor Whitman, right?
Governor Christie Todd Whitman and Senator Jack Danforth of Missouri. The point is to return the party to its fiscally conservative roots, which has really been the strength of the party traditionally.
Now, I know some are watching here, and I'm not attacking you individually, but are you concerned about the extremist zealots within the party?
No, I'm not. I think Senator McCain is a great individual to carry our banner this fall. He understands the need to bring in all segments of the party, and he's hard at work doing that. There are all sorts of Republicans, there are all sorts of Democrats, and ultimately it's up to each nominee to bring the party together while at the same time reaching out to moderates and independents.
So except for the candidate here, you know, the candidates, this organization is pretty well philosophically close to some of the Democratic Leadership Council.
Yeah, I would hope that Senator McCain would listen to you guys a bit more often. That would be a welcome sign. But again, you know, on this issue of extremism, Senator McCain 8 years ago would have gone and cut his own path to this presidency. This year, what does he do? He asked Rush Limbaugh and the extremists in the Republican Party, would they accept his running mate? They said no. He rushed right back to them and kowtowed to the most extreme elements.
Well, wait a second. Hasn't Senator Obama moved toward the middle here?
Senator Obama is a very sort of moderate, Midwestern, senator.
I think that's incorrect. If I could just jump in, I think the characterization of Senator McCain as an ideologue is inaccurate. He has a record of bipartisan cooperation, whether it's campaign finance reform, immigration reform, judicial nominations. If you look at the continuum of ideology in the Congress, Senator Obama, as the #1 most liberal member of the Senate, is somewhere off screen. Senator McCain is right in the middle of that ideological spectrum where most Americans are.
Yeah, the key is for both of them to attract independent votes. That's the key. Isn't that right, Jim?
It's always a battle for the middle ground. That's true. And Obama has moved more to the middle. He's reached out a bit to try to broaden the base, if you would, of his.
Well, but so has McCain.
Right.
I mean, the fact is that the model of 2000, the Rove model you call it, of 2000 and 2004, was based on marginal wins. It wasn't based on a big win. Isn't that correct?
It's true. And the idea is, of course, to win one more electoral vote than the other guy.
But I'd like to know where John McCain is moderating his positions. He's moving further to the right. He's kowtowing to the base, the social extremists, the anti-choice. You know, he floated the idea that he might be able to take a running mate who was pro-choice. They said no way. He said okay.
Well,
where do I?
What do you think, Mike? I mean, this is a problem. It's the dilemma for the middle ground of the Republican Party, isn't it?
I'm not sure. Again, Senator McCain, he really does cut his own path, and on some issues, he does strongly support.
Well,
Republican.
you're one of your heroines in life, Governor Whitman, who's done such a wonderful job of moderation in the Republican Party, left that administration because it wasn't the Environmental Protection Agency; it was the Environmental Destruction Agency, and she couldn't deal with it. You know that, and I know that.
I'll let Governor Whitman speak for herself. I can't.
We'll
fight
be talking to her this week.
Very good.
Okay, Jim. This has always been a problem for the Republican Party. I think the reason that President Bush was so successful in 2004 is because he ran that conservative right campaign and got just enough votes. You can't do that anymore, can you?
Well, several of the red and blue states are starting to look a little purple and a little pink. And the coloration of the electoral map starting to change a bit. Indiana, for example, it looks as though it could go either way this year. Some of the blue states are also in play that hadn't been. Pennsylvania, as you mentioned earlier, may be the critical state because it has such an amalgam of different kinds of people, urban, rural, and a real mixture of things.
We'll be right back after this. Back in Voice of Reason, I want to ask you a question, Jim. If you were planning this election year, would you, as a Democrat or as a Republican, have allowed this kind of consecutive conventions, besides the fact that I have to find a dry cleaner somewhere, right, consecutive conventions, and such, not just a sprint to the White House, but an absolute jet plane flight to the White House, 7.5 weeks?
It's been an awfully long campaign. The primary seasons just lasted way too long. In some respects, they've overstayed their visit, so we did need a break in the summer. But the Olympics and some other things, I mean, the conventions are made for television. They're just basically large infomercials, and the whole point, of course, is to sell the product, the candidates.
But they're large infomercials that have an impact.
Well, they do, of course, and one of the things by bunching them so closely, with the Republican coming right on top of the Democratic campaign, or convention rather, is that the bounce that one would normally expect is going to be reduced.
You think so?
I do, and it'll probably be a certain leavening of the process as we head right into the final weeks.
Mike, what is your job out at the Republican convention starting Monday? What do you do out there?
We're going to be making the rounds. Governor Whitman's going to be very active, as is Senator Danforth. Going to be hosting an event, speaking with a lot of delegates about the future of the Republican Party and the best ways for all of us to come together and support Senator McCain.
Well, certainly in New Jersey, you guys have a problem. I mean, New Jersey's got a real problem. You've got a governor who's fairly on the ropes there now, but have you found a candidate that can go up against Jon Corzine?
I think that's a whole nother show, Larry. There's a lot of problems in New Jersey, and I think there may be some good Republican candidates in next year's gubernatorial election. Now,
as you look ahead to your Pennsylvania experience, you've been here twice now in this incredible primary, which was very, very feisty and fun. And now you're going to be in charge after the Republican convention, and right now, in molding Pennsylvania's view of your candidate. How do you find the state of Pennsylvania? What do you think about it?
Well, I think
you think it's like going to 3 or 4 countries?
Well, it was a roller coaster ride here in the spring. There's no doubt about that. But look, I think one of the things about Pennsylvania, it's full of hardworking, blue-collar, working-class families, many of them who are struggling right now. But they're always tough. They're always resilient. They never give up hope. And I think when they see Barack Obama's life story, raised by a single mom and his grandparents, had to overcome a lot of tough odds in his life to get where he is. Deep, deep respect for America and the country that gave him the opportunities that he has, a man of deep faith. I think they're going to see a lot of their own experiences in Barack Obama's life.
Now, as you look at this from an historical perspective, you've been through a lot of campaigns, Jim. You saw the Kennedys, you know Robert Kennedy up close because of the writing that you've done on him. If John McCain should be elected, just give me a quick capsule on this very quickly. What kind of a life will we have in America? Will it be different?
Well, we'll have divided politics again because I think almost everyone believes that the Congress is heading Democratic.
And same thing with Obama, you think?
Well, I don't. I don't think it'll be as divided. The party, the Democratic Party, I think, is working hard to pull together. A lot depends on Clinton. A lot depends really on somebody we haven't heard much from lately, Al Gore, in terms of unifying several of the base issues of the party.
Jim, Sean, Mike, we'll see you on Monday at the convention. We can go on all night. I would like to, but that's all the time we have. I want to thank our guest. I also want to let you know that our live wall-to-wall coverage, prime time, begins Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern right here on CN8, the Comcast network. Lynn Doyle in Philadelphia. Robert Trainham and I will be in Washington at the Republican National Convention, where there are 1,000 bicycles available. Each campaign is going green. We had organic food in Denver, now bikes in Minneapolis, and from what I understand, the traffic situation is there. We might need it. We'll see you online, on demand, Comcast Channel 1 and CN8.TV. Good night.